Welcome back. You're watching Live from Paris on France 24, and it's time to welcome James Creedon to the studio for tonight's Media Watch. Hi there, James.
Good evening, Laura.
Now, we're talking about the Costa Concordia disaster. The search effort for those missing is still ongoing off the coast of Giglio. But there's some debate over the character of the captain, Francesco Schettino, who's been very much painted as the one to blame for this disaster. You're seeing other things, though, in the press today.
That's right. I mean, it's still a very, they're down on top of him like a ton of bricks, the media in general. He's being sort of called the bella figura, or an example of the bella figura, which is in Italy, it's specific to Italy, according to an article in Le Monde and in the Financial Times. The idea is that you make a good impression aesthetically. It's a sort of a whole way of life, an attitude towards life. And indeed, when he took the boat off route to go closer to the island of Giglio, that is a perfect example of showing off, aesthetics trumping ethics, as they simplify it. So they're saying this is the perfect example of him behaving in this way. And in the Financial Times, they take it even further. They say that Silvio Berlusconi is another example of that. Corruption in Italy. I think that might be exaggerating it a little bit too far. There has been an attempt really to stereotype Italy and to cast the captain of the ship as a cliche, a typical Italian cliche, which isn't necessarily
and we heard
the case.
that report in The Guardian, didn't we, of a British journalist saying this simply wouldn't have happened if it was a British captain on a ship.
Right.
So a lot of nationalistic kind of stereotypes coming into play.
He has certainly been stereotyped, that's for sure. And actually what's coming out now in Le Point and other magazines is that maybe he wasn't the only one responsible at all, and maybe the company, his superiors, were involved in the decision-making process a lot more than we've been led to believe. For example, between the time of impact and 68 minutes later when the call for evacuation took place, he called his superiors in the Costa Group 3 times. Now, the thing is, why didn't they tell him to evacuate the ship immediately, seeing as he had been made aware of that? Either he withheld that information from them, or they knew the gravity of the situation and decided not to go for an SOS and to evacuate the ship. Why? Because when that happens, immediately the whole fleet has to be inspected at a cost of hundreds of thousands of euros. So it's a bad rep for the company to have an SOS call issued, and it's also very costly. So some are now saying maybe they didn't want that SOS call to take place. And also, they were aware that he very often took the boat off course to go closer to certain islands, such as Giglio, because that was allegedly standard practice in the company to give advertising for the cruise liners. If you go close to the coast, you've got the beaches, you've got everybody looking out, they see the cruise liner. So actually on the website of the company, you have photographs of this cruise ship very close to various islands in the Mediterranean. So it could well be possible that he's being scapegoated and that all the blame is being laid with him, when in fact the company was aware of a lot more than they've let on.
All right, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of an official inquiry into that.
Right.
But as I say, the search effort's still going on. Let's talk about another man taking a bit of a hammering in the French press. He's slightly more used to it, though. He is the president, Nicolas Sarkozy.
Yes.
He made promises before he became president, and everyone's saying, well, you just didn't carry them out.
It always is the case, isn't it? After a 5-year mandate, after any governmental term, people will say, oh, you promised this, and you never delivered on it. But perhaps especially easy to target Nicolas Sarkozy, who is adept at making grand declarations in public. Now, we'll have a look at a piece of video. This goes back to 2007, when he was still on the campaign trail, about unemployment in France, which stands at around 10% quite a lot of the time. So let's take a listen to what he said in an interview in 2007.
I promise to slash unemployment rates. It will be at 5% by the end of my 5-year term.
If at the end of your term you haven't succeeded, would you not seek re-election?
I'd say I failed. The French people can draw their own conclusions.
Okay, so 5%, it's now somewhere around double that. So he clearly didn't deliver, and he said himself, the French people can draw their own conclusions. So everybody, that's been all over Facebook in the last 24 hours, and people are saying, ha ha, you said you wouldn't stand again. We know that you're going to declare your candidacy, so, is this going back on your word a little bit? I think so. It's a chance for people to say, told you so, or ha ha, or whatever variety you want to take on that.
Looking back at things is a good thing, isn't it? All
Yeah,
right,
easy to be.
Sarkozy's woes don't end there. Not only has another rival thrown his hat into the fray, that's Francois Bayrou, but there's a new book out this week, another tell-all.
Yes, this is
about
pretty
behind the
damning
scenes
stuff.
at the Elysee.
the first time a book of this nature has ever come out about an acting director of the Secret Services in France. His name is Bernard Scarsini, currently being investigated for a wiretapping scandal involving the Le Monde newspaper. But this book goes way further. It basically says that he has made the Secret Service into a sort of political police for Nicolas Sarkozy. And also that these three journalists claim that, a specific cell of some 15 officers has been put 100% at the service of the Elysee Palace. And that they have sort of carte blanche to do whatever they want. A number of Secret Service officers have spoken to the journalists in this book. One saying that Dominique Strauss-Kahn allegedly was in the line of fire, that he was being targeted by the Secret Service. So it's extremely damning stuff. Bernard Scarsini is his name, and he's known as the Shark in some circles. That's his nickname, Le Squale. So it's very, very damning stuff, and basically saying that the Secret Service is 100% political under Sarkozy's rule.
And we can expect more of these kind of tell-alls, can't we? With just 100 days to go now until the first vote in the election.
That's right.
I
So
expect
it's
to be
heating up.
a lot more
the
from you,
scandals.
James. All right, James Creedon,
Thanks, Laura.
many thanks indeed for joining us. That's it for Media Watch. Now we're going to find out what else is going on in the blogs and on the social networking sites around the world with today's web news.